Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. You've got a story to share, a message to inspire, and a passion ready to ignite. But where do you start? The world is waiting for your voice. With From Idea to Implementation, Start Your Own Podcast, you'll get the roadmap to turn your vision into reality. This isn't just a course, it's your launching pad. Step by step, we'll break down the process from defining your purpose to recording your first episode so you can finally share your voice with confidence. Stop overthinking it and start doing it. Your voice has the power to connect and lead. Are you ready to use it? Join the waitlist today. Your podcast journey starts now. The world is waiting. You can find the link to sign up for the waitlist in the show notes. We'll see you soon. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Jen Morris. Hello, Jen. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great, Brad. Thanks for having me.
It is my honor and my pleasure. I am so excited to have you here today and looking forward to jumping in and sharing all the things, Jen, and all the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do. With that being said, let us jump right in.
Awesome.
You are the founder of Renegade Motherhood, which is a company committed to elevating, amplifying, and connecting moms in business, a natural storyteller, a speaker, a networker, connector of moms, and of course, a philanthropist and a mom yourself. So I would love to know, what was the defining moment for you that led you to create Renegade Motherhood? Was there a personal struggle or a realization that ignited this mission for you? And what is Renegade Motherhood all about?
Yeah, so I have been a kind of a serial entrepreneur since my mid-20s, and professional networking groups were always a big part of my journey. And the short story is that when I had my first daughter, about 10 years into my kind of business building entrepreneurial journey, I started to quickly realize that a lot of my networking organizations, situations were really not designed for moms. Early morning groups, the ones you had to be there every week or find a sub and stuff like that. They had served a purpose. I believe in them very much still, but they weren't working for me anymore. And then had my second kiddo at the peak of COVID, Labor Day 2020. And it was hard. It was a really challenging time for many people. It was hard to be pregnant and then postpartum during that time where there was a lot of isolation. And so when she was about 18 months, I just started feeling really called to get back in person with people and do it in a business setting. But I was really clear that I wanted to have these conversations with moms because I wanted to be in experiences where I didn't have to apologize if I was late or if I had coffee spilled all over me, or just wanted to be in community with people who just inherently got it, and be a place for advocacy for that, where we're not constantly apologizing for things that most of the time are completely out of our control. So that's the very short version. But I think moms do business differently, and that the business world, so to speak, is not really built for us. And I'm really on a mission to rewrite the rules and help us create our own rules. So
I love that. And so the word renegade, of course, evokes thoughts of rebellion, courage, breaking the mold, all of those things. So how do you define renegade motherhood, and what does it mean to you on a personal level?
Yeah, it is, I think, about disruption, doing things different. When you see that something is not designed for you, I think sometimes the inclination is, and I did this for a long time too, is let's just fit in and make it work. And as I've gotten older and as I've had kids and two girls and stuff, I'm like, no, let's see if we can change it. And change does not always happen quickly, as we know. And sometimes we go backward to forward. And I think we're seeing that globally right now too. But I've always been somebody who has done things a little differently. I have an acting background. Pursuing an acting career is not a quote unquote traditional path.
Yes, absolutely.
And so it comes a little naturally to me. But then I think then I had kids, and I was in my mid-30s when I had my first. And all of a sudden there is, again, this idea of how do we do it the way everyone else is doing it? And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to parent a certain way and look a certain way as a mom and keep it all together, carry the mental load and not complain and be grateful for our kids, which I am. But that's not working either. So it's like, how can we just be disruptive in motherhood? And then how can we also bring that into business and know it's okay to want to have both, but we have to have the conversations and create things in a way that are going to help us find happiness in both. Not all the time. I don't think that's ever going to happen all the time, but as much as we can. Yeah.
But it's time to shake shit up. And for so long.
Oh, good. We can swear on the show. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I usually ask. I forgot to ask.
No, that's okay. Swearing is totally fine. Women have been conditioned for so long to believe that as mothers, you can't have both, or you can't have it all. You can't have the career and be a mom. You have to choose one or the other. And that's not the case. I mean, we're seeing that now. I think that things are changing, but as you said, it takes a long time sometimes for things to change and for people to realize that, wait a minute, I don't have to follow that bullshit conditioning rule anymore. It's time for change, and let's shake things up and make the changes. And so people like yourself are blazing this trail to show women what's possible, and that, no, you don't have to fall into this category or be put into this box where you have to choose motherhood or career or business or whatever it is. You can have it all. It is possible.
It is. And I will add, though, that it's having it all, I think, is also another phrase that has been designed to trick us.
Yeah.
And it's like, I tend to look at things as like seasons. When my girls were they're still little in a sense, but when they were little, it was a harder season because they were much more dependent on me. They weren't in school full time. Yeah. And so I had to readjust my goals for business accordingly. Now I'm in a place where they are in school full time, at least when school's happening. And obviously summer is rapidly approaching. And so things will shift again. Yeah. But I think more moms are going into starting their own thing because they are craving some of that independence. And a lot of the traditional kind of jobs and career roles out there don't necessarily give that. But then there's still this exploration of like, how do we navigate starting up a business and growing a business and making the connections and getting the sales and making enough money to also take care of our kids. So it's an ever evolving conversation. And I do not claim to have all the answers because there are weeks where I'm like, this is all working and things are great. And then there are weeks where I should just go get a job. It's hard. But it's an important conversation to be having and navigating. And I think the more moms who are living this experience, the more we can come together and have it together, then there's more collective power around it too. And we can all get ideas from each other and just realize we're not alone in this.
Absolutely.
And we don't have to do it in isolation.
Yeah. Conversation is the catalyst for change. The more we talk about things, the more it gets out there for people to realize what's possible. And again, like you said, you could pick up ideas from speaking with other moms and how they're dealing with things and the struggles, and sharing those struggles too, to know that you're not alone in the struggles and you're not the only one out there that is. There are other moms out there. So conversation is so important, and it's platforms like this, sharing what you do, sharing what all the other women are doing out there to help other women who are going through similar situations, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Are you hearing? I feel like we have a woodpecker sometimes. And can you hear it?
No,
I can hear it. Okay, good. I'm like, here it is. Oh my God. Anyway, all right, good. I'm glad you're not picking it up on your end.
No. Jen, what is the most, always, what is the most renegade thing that you've done in motherhood or business that completely changed your trajectory?
In business, I would say so about a year ago. So the community started 3 years ago almost. And it really was like a casual meetup. I posted on a Facebook group like, hey, are there any other moms in business in this area that want to connect and maybe have coffee and just talk? And it, like 2 people liked it and 1 person commented and then 1 person offered some space. And then from there it started to grow. But it was still pretty casual for the first year and a half. I actually had a whole other business that I'd had for years, more in the nutrition space. And I continued to do it because it felt like I know what I'm doing here and this is what I should be doing. And I put a lot into this and I have a really good base. And I was just finishing actually like a postpartum nutrition certification to be able to bring that into the work I was doing, because that's a whole other conversation, but it's a whole other piece that is completely overlooked. But there was a part of me that was like, this is not this is not making me happy anymore. But I was having all these people, this is such a needed thing. We need to be helping people with postpartum and the work. And I had some content that kind of accidentally went viral without me trying on social media. And so that was like, oh yes, this is what I should be doing. This is what I should be doing. But I just was like, it was a slog. And I had a lot of resistance. I'm like, oh, you're just shake it off, push your way through it. And then I actually launched a whole program that it just took me months to like get my shit together and finally launch it. And that was almost a year ago. And I launched this community and I had a few people sign up and I'm teaching my first workshop. And I'm like, as I'm doing it, I'm just having this out of body experience where I'm literally like looking at myself and like screaming at me, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing, Jen? Stop. And and as soon as I ended that workshop, I literally immediately refunded the people who had joined the program. And I was like,
wow,
took the webpage down. I was like, nope, this is not it. This isn't it. And then I was like, the work that I'm doing, building this community, this networking community, and having these conversations about business, that's what I want to be doing. That's the gift. That's it. Everything that all of my experience as an actor, as a speaker, as a business owner, building these different businesses has led me here. And it's okay now to be like, this is it. And so so that was, it was a renegade move because it was this like I'd spent months and put a lot of time and money into building this whole other program. And in that one moment, I was like, this is not it. And I burned it all down and rebranded the meetup to Renegade Motherhood. And I tell you what, it just went from good to amazing. Attendance grew like crazy. People started like paying more for the events. I launched the digital coaching community in June. We're at 50 people for that. Like it hasn't been like, I'm not like, I made 7 figures in 5 weeks. Like so many people love to talk about, but I've never been happier. I've never felt more fulfilled. And it's just because I I finally listened and I got my head out of my ass. And I just was like, and I think so many of us, we're like, but people know me as this. What will people think if I make this huge career shift? Or what will people think if I leave this safe job to start something else? What will people think of me? And it's not really my business what people think about me. I don't care. But I tell you what, like I could barely get anybody in the postpartum program that everyone kept saying, this is really good. This is so needed. And I've had no problem. I did my first live summit in November, barely advertised it and sold out at 80 people, that's incredible. Without even trying, like 2 weeks before we even went live, 3 weeks, I think, before the event even happened, it was completely full. And so it's just one of those things where I'm not saying that to brag at all, because believe me, there's still a lot I'm figuring out. But when you really listen to what you want to do and you really acknowledge where your strengths are, and you also believe what people are telling you. I had a lot of people who were part of this community from the beginning who kept being like, maybe you should charge for this. Maybe this doesn't need to be free. You're really good at this. You put a lot of work into this. And I think, again, sometimes as moms, we're just like, we do all this unpaid labor and we're conditioned to do that. And we're just like, oh, thanks. It's okay. I just want to help everybody. And the minute I assigned value to it, people took it more seriously. And I think
that's pretty badass that you had the awareness to say, fuck this. This isn't filling my heart. It's not filling I don't want to do this. People are saying they need it, but it doesn't excite me. If it's not a fuck yes, then don't do it.
Yes. 100%.
Right.
100%.
So
there are many other things you can do than start a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thing to do. And so if you're not, and it doesn't also mean that there's not days where I have doubt, where it's hard, where I'm like stuck on something, or when things aren't moving. It's not like every day is a 4-figure sales day or 5, whatever. But I have the vision. I know where I'm going and I'm committed to the work. Whereas before it was like, I just didn't even have any interest in talking about it. That was a pretty good sign that something was wrong.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's amazing. Congratulations on that, on listening to your intuition and trusting in it. That's a big thing, to trust in it. So amazing. Now, many moms feel like they have to choose between being present for their children and pursuing their passions. How does Renegade Motherhood challenge that narrative and offer a different path?
When I pursue my passions, I'm more present for my kids because I'm happier. And I there's so many different things experts could teach about this, but for me, I can only speak to my own lived experiences. Is yeah, when I'm doing the work I'm supposed to be doing, and when I have the events, and when I do the other things too that aren't business related. I'm in a choir and we meet once a week. I'm a better mom because I'm taking care of me, and I'm taking care of my own needs and my own nurturing my own creativity, which is a high value to me. And I talk a lot about the work I do with my kids. And so when I have an event or this podcast this morning, we actually have one day a week that's a late start day, and it happens to be Wednesdays, which is the day we're recording. And so I think I didn't think about that when I booked this call, but so that meant that I had to leave a little bit before they left for school to come to my office to record this. But they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, somebody's interviewing me for their podcast. And they're like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And then if I have an event, I also don't do drop off the mornings I have events. And so I leave at the same time, but I go do my event. And without fail, every time when I pick up my kiddos at the end of the day, after my event, the first thing they'll say is, oh, I forgot to ask, how was your event today? How was Renegade, Mom? Like, how was Renegade Motherhood? Or if I see somebody out in my community and we're talking, they will be like, is she part of your Renegade group? So and then there are times where it's, hey, I can't do something right now. I do have to do a little bit of work. Okay, sometimes when they are home, but I'm not just because I have to, it's because this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm building. This is why this makes me happy. And you know how when you do your art, it makes you happy, or when you play with your friends, it makes you happy. Like, these are things that makes mom happy, and you might not totally understand it now, but one day, like when you have kids, you're going to understand this more. And so it's enrolling our kids in our goals and our beliefs. And I think not just when it's always like great and good, it's also when it's, how was your day? And then when they ask, how was my day? And if I'm having like a hard day with something, I'll say, today was weird. Like, I couldn't quite figure something out, or something happened, or something got canceled, but it's okay. But it wasn't a great day. And I think having those conversations and keeping it honest. I mean, maybe not every single thing needs to be shared, but honest enough. It shows kids what's possible, and it gets them enrolled in this as a family business, which to me, it is a family business. They're part of my little rising renegade squad.
I love it. Leading by example, right? Teaching them this is how you do things. And not everything is going to be puppy dogs and rainbows and ice cream. There are going to be difficult times, and let's talk about it. Again, you limit what you tell them when they're at a certain age, of course, but letting them in on things and seeing that it doesn't always work out the way you want it to or the way you plan to. And that's okay.
Yeah.
We figure out a way around it.
Yeah.
Exactly. For sure. Moms are often expected, as you mentioned, to be everything to everyone. How do you help mothers rewrite that script when it comes to balancing business, family, and personal fulfillment?
Yeah, I like to go back to that, what we mentioned earlier about like seasons. I think it's about identifying like within the season that you're in, and then being like knowing that it's maybe not temporary, it's an evolving season. And that like in winter, there are days when it's really snowy and icy and freezing. And then there's days like we've had lately in Colorado where it's been 70 degrees when it's still only March. So you have good days and challenging days and seasons, but eventually the season will change, will evolve. But then and this is something I have to really work on. I'm ambitious, and I get big ideas. I get lots of ideas. I'm a manifester in human design. And so I'm like constantly getting ideas. But I've learned now to really say, okay, what's the goal? What's the 3-month goal? What's the 6-month goal? Is this something that has to happen now? Is this going to help serve me? Or is this would be nice, but maybe it's something I revisit this time next year? And so staying flexible, but also really learning how to check in with myself around it. And then having a few people in my corner that I can go to when I am feeling like I have this idea, but I don't know. Can you be a sounding board for me? I think is also really important to have those people in your network and your community. So as far as how do you balance it all? I mean, I don't think you do. Again, I think that's another word that sets us up for failure. Yeah. But I think right now we're in a space of we're getting ready to put our house on the market. And so the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, month, 2 months are going to be incredibly busy. So I'm having to look at with business. I'm like, okay, so what are the main things that I do need to do? And how can I set up a system to address those? But also know that like I might need to slow down in some other parts or delay a few things, and knowing that it's going to be okay. And that nothing's going to fall apart if I have to focus on something else for a little bit. So, and then I think it's also, we have to communicate our needs too. And so whether it's a need you have in business and then being open to support around it, which could be in the form of a virtual assistant, it could be in the form of a coach, it could be, again, just like one of those people that understands what you're trying to build and is willing to be like an accountability partner. It doesn't always have to be somebody that you pay, but it could be. And then if you're in a partnership, romantic partnership, a marriage or another relationship, I have gotten a lot better about communicating with my spouse and not assuming he can read my mind, because I've learned that he can't, and that's not his job. And so instead of wanting like, why aren't you anticipating my needs? It's like, I need to just say, hey, here's what I have going on this week. It's going to be a little busier. Let's figure it out. And so I think it's just about being overly communicative, inviting support in, and then being willing to receive support too. I think moms tend to be highly self-sufficient because we have to be, but to a fault. That then it's when somebody, maybe when a friend is like, hey, I know you're like getting ready to put the house on the market. Can I help you watch the kids for a couple of hours one day? It's like so many, oh no, that's okay. And then just the other day I was like, you know what? Yes, I need this. And I called my friend and I was like, hey, like I would love to take you up on this actually, if it still works for you. And not feeling like we have to be we need help. So it's okay. It's not a sign of weakness. We're not meant to be doing these things alone, but we often will say, I need help. And then when somebody's like saying, hey, here's help, we're like, no, I'm good. And so we have to start recognizing that and being open to receiving in lots of different ways as well, because sometimes we've learned to ask, but then we actually are not really receiving it. So
yeah, that's a big piece of it, is because, again, going back to the conditioning, we have been taught that it is a sign of weakness to ask for help. And it's not. I think that's the exact opposite. It's a sign of weakness not accepting the help. And it's hard to break that conditioning, to break that way of thinking and to step into this new way of thinking, but it's needed. We cannot do anything in this life alone. It's not meant to be done alone either. So we need to, I think, having the support, having a community of support around you is so important as entrepreneurs, but also as human beings. We need each other. We need people to help us and support us, period. There's no way around it. You cannot do it alone. And recognizing that and stepping into that is so important. Again, it's not easy. It takes an incredible mindset shift, but you have to be able to do it, period. Because if not, you're going to burn out and you won't be of any use to anybody when you do that.
Absolutely.
Now, motherhood and entrepreneurship both require resilience, adaptability, and vision. So in what ways has being a mother made you a better business leader?
Yeah, I mean, my mom told me once that her dad, so my grandpa, would always say something to the effect of, kids are meant to push boundaries and parents are there to enforce them or something like that, right? To set them, and the kids are meant to push them or whatever. And my kids, they do. That's what they do because they're changing and evolving and they don't always know what's acceptable or not. So I think I am not by nature a very patient person in business, but having kids has forced me to become more patient, to slow down, to listen. And then also just witnessing like their creativity. They're at an age where there's lots of pretend play happening and the two of them will just go away and I'll hear them up there and they're just having this whole life. And we forget we get older and we forget how to do that. And now in this digital age where everything's just on a screen, we almost forget like what's real and what's not. And so just witnessing like their creativity, their Yeah. And then when they are like pushing boundaries, it's a good reflection of, okay, yeah, like we are meant to push boundaries, and it doesn't make them bad for pushing the boundaries. Now, depending on what they're pushing, like I may need to step in and reinforce a boundary, but it is a reminder of, I want to raise kids who do push the boundaries.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we need more of that. But yeah, I think the like being present, the slowing down, and then having difficult conversations. I think as adults, we get really good at avoiding the difficult conversations, but like your kids, like when they have something that they want to ask you, sometimes it's funny, the stuff that comes out of their mouth, but sometimes it is, this is what happened at school today, and this, and it's like no books, no amount of training can prepare you for some of these. But that definitely has influenced the work that I do and holding space for moms who are in it and coming with different questions. And then again, recognizing that part of building a business that's going to be sustainable is there is a level of patience that's involved, and knowing when slowing down can actually then help you go faster. That has been the hardest lesson I've had to learn. I have many people in my life who have been excellent teachers for me with this, one being my friend Caitlin Morris. I'll give her credit. She teaches this amazing rerooted paradigm, and she talks about that everything starts and ends in rest. But as moms, it's when are we ever going to rest? And then we are like all the things, we look around the house every weekend and we're just like, I can't sit down. We can't go to the playground. We can't do this because the laundry has to get done. The groceries out. We have to do meal prep for the week. We have to look for the library books that we lost. It's just go. And part of the reason that we're actually like selling our house and everything is because we don't want to be homeowners for a year, because we're tired of the constant projects and maintenance and all the stuff. And we're like, we just want to have a year where like, we don't look at a wall and think, oh, we should really paint this wall, or we should really redo this bathroom, or we should this, or we should that. And using that as an opportunity to release some, like a lot of stuff that just creates clutter and chaos, because we want to be more present. And if your business isn't supporting that, if your home isn't supporting that, like it's an opportunity to not everybody can just sell a house or move or whatever, like something to that, that degree, but there are things you can do that can encourage a sense of more peace and quiet and rest. But knowing that in doing that, it can lead to so much like growth, and it feels counterintuitive, I think, especially for mom. But rest is not a luxury. It's a necessity.
For sure. Absolutely. That patience piece is so, I think that is one of the most important skill sets as both a parent and as an entrepreneur. You have to have patience, because you need the rest, as you say. I mean, you'll end up burning out and then you're of no use to anybody.
Exactly.
Least of all yourself, and most importantly yourself.
Yeah.
So it is very important to take that rest, to take that time for yourself and replenish when you need to, period. You have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, you're no good to anybody.
And I've learned that lesson the hard way many times. So yeah, I don't want to keep learning that lesson. I've learned it. I'm good.
Now, you've built a community that amplifies and connects mothers. Why do you think sisterhood and collaboration are so critical for moms in business?
I have gotten some of my best ideas through just conversations, listening, connecting. And I think we're in this area where it's like, we have a question, we're like, let's go to a Facebook group. And those definitely, I have a Facebook group. They can definitely serve a purpose, but there is so much magic that happens when you get a group of moms together, because I believe we have a superpower that comes when we, no matter how kids come into your life, it brings like a superpower. And when you get a group of moms together, whether it's a Zoom room or in person, there is so much, people feel seen when it's the right group.
Yeah.
And heard, they get inspiration, ideas catch fire, and it's incredible what can happen. But there's not enough of these spaces for us. And so then what happens is you end up following these like influencers on social media who may or may not be full of shit.
Yeah.
Or these business gurus who are like 7 figures in your first year. And cool, if that really is what they did, that's awesome. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But like, there's not enough people out there being like business can be really hard. And my first year in business, I made $3, but like I kept, you know what I mean? And I think it's just more about getting moms together and like just keeping it real.
There's a lot of noise.
Each other all the time.
There's a lot of noise and bullshit out there. Yeah. I've been saying this for years now. We need to have the conversations around entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship is romanticized.
Oh,
it really is.
100%.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. It truly is. But there's also a downside to it. It's a lot of fucking work. It's a struggle. It can be very lonely at times. And nobody talks about that shit. And we need to have conversations about that stuff because I think as entrepreneurs, that should be part of our responsibility, I think, to have those conversations, to let others who are coming into the entrepreneurial space know that, hey, you know what? This is not going to be an easy ride. It's not this, you're going to skyrocket to $1 million a year. I mean, that's rare. I'm not saying it can't happen. It can. Yeah. But chances are it's probably not going to happen. Those cases are far and few between. Sure. Yeah. So I think the conversations need to be had. We need to talk about that. And I think it's part of our duty as entrepreneurs to have those conversations so that other people coming in realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe I want to rethink that because I don't think entrepreneurship is for everyone either.
Yeah. And I think there's one thing that someone told me once that was really clarifying too, is that, and I talk about this a lot with some of the moms in my community, is like, whatever your definition of success is awesome. And that some people want a business that brings in $3,000 a month. And like, that's doable. Not everybody has a 7-figure dream because 7 figures brings 7 times the challenges too and the problems. And so it's, I think so many times we're just taught, this is how you do it. Follow this plan and you'll hit 6 figures or 7 figures. But you really need to start with, what do you actually want?
Yeah.
Because building a business that's going to generate $50,000 a year, so $3,000 to $4,000 a month, and then you have to take into account expenses and taxes and all that stuff too, right? A very different vision and set of things you probably need to do than building a 7-figure business or seeking out venture capital or all these things. And so it's like when you're looking for a coach or somebody too, you want to make sure that you're finding somebody who understands what it is that you want to build. It isn't going to force you to do something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Because if someone comes to me and they're like, I really need to know how to get funding and pitch to VCs, I'm not that person right now. And maybe that's something that I'll do eventually and I'll learn it and then I'll be able to, but that's not necessarily like the kind of business that I want. Now, do we need more like funding for moms in business? Yeah, absolutely. For women of color, 100%. They are the most likely to self-fund because there's such limited access, but which is another reason why it's important to get these groups of people together, because I talk a lot about how moms in business, we are an economy. And if we don't come together, then we can't fuel the economy.
Yeah. For sure.
And part of being an economy, it's not just about, a lot of business networking groups are this very transactional of, you're going to do business with me and I'm going to do business with you and we're going to keep track of all of it. And it's just, okay.
Yeah.
But I talk a lot about how part of being part of an economy, it's also just about this elevating. It's about, hey, if you see somebody who's hosting a workshop, can you share it on your platform too?
Yeah.
It takes 5 minutes and doesn't cost any money.
Exactly.
It's about, it's referrals. And sometimes it is actually like transaction. It can be about leaving a review or, hey, I was just on this great podcast and you should really pitch this podcast. So it might be a good place for you. Yeah. So there's so many different ways to contribute to the economy, but we can't do that again if we're sitting in isolation. So we have to come together and not look at business as purely dollars and cents and profit. It's so much more than that.
Absolutely.
But if that is the part there, I think that the patience comes into place, because networking, building relatimes, it is not something that often happens quickly. It's a long game.
It takes time.
You have to nurture.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to get out and meet people. However you're choosing to build a network and nurture a network, if you do it online, you can't post once on LinkedIn and think that you're going to get opportunities sent your way. And I mean, I believe me, I'm guilty of that sometimes. It takes a while, but you're right. Not enough people are talking about the fact, like I say, I always am clear, like a lot of the growth has happened with Renegade in the last year, but really the journey started 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So it was the first 2 years were really just showing up every month. I was showing up and I was creating relationships. And even though I was building a whole other business, I was still showing up to this community and getting to know these people and laying the foundation for what I didn't even know was coming. But because I did that, it allowed me to then in that third year start to grow faster. But the foundation of the house is usually the most expensive part, at least where I live, because it's in Colorado. So the soil is like sand, basically.
Yeah.
And you don't really see that. That's the part when you build the house, you don't see the foundation. Like it's all underneath. So we have to be talking more about that. And then also, again, making sure that I think one of the biggest mistakes business owners make, especially in the beginning, is that they go to the wrong people with their ideas. So we're going to people who maybe our parents and my parents are great, but they don't know how to build a digital business because like they've had businesses and everything, but they didn't they didn't build anything on social media. They didn't have a podcast. And so I'm not going to necessarily go to my parents and be like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. I would love for you to like give me your opinion, because like that's not their zone of genius.
They don't know. It's not their wheelhouse. Yeah.
My mom was a practicing therapist. So when I have something that I'm like working on from a mental health perspective, or maybe a difficult experience with somebody or with my kid or something, I go to her. But because she knows more than me in that capacity. But I think so many times we're like, oh, I have this idea and I'm really excited. And then we go and we share it with somebody and they take a huge shit on it. And then we're like, oh, never mind, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Because those people, they haven't done what you're trying to do. They don't understand what you're trying to do. They want to keep you safe, or they're just miserable people. It could go either way sometimes.
Yes.
And so we have to make sure that when we do get into community, that it's the right community for the right thing we're trying to support.
Absolutely.
And I see that happen so many times where people are just like, God, people are just really dumping on me. And sometimes it's a little bit out of their hands and they're doing what they can do, but at least they have a space where they can come and say, and like, just be like really open about it, and then get the support that they need from the people that are there to give it.
Yeah. You also have, on the flip side of that, we also have to be open to receive feedback that maybe it's not such a good idea, because there are people who will be honest and think, nah, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should rethink that or rework that idea.
Again, though, I think it depends who you're talking to. Because if you have an idea to, I don't know, start an Etsy store, let's say, right? And you go to your dad who has worked for a 9-to-5, he's an accountant or he's whatever, and has never actually try to make and sell a product, he might be like, I don't know if that's a good idea. But the reason he's saying it is not because he actually understands the model. He's probably saying that because that's just going to be a lot of work. And then you're going to have to like actually do all the things. And he's probably saying it from a place of looking out for you, not necessarily understanding the logistics. Now, if you were to go to somebody who has a thriving Etsy store and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, I would love any advice you have to avoid any pitfalls. Yeah. And that's inviting. And then if you're like, no, I'm going to do it my own way anyway, and then it's a disaster, maybe you should give them some of that advice, right? I mean, there is that too, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's just about who are we going to, because we have these like beautiful, precious ideas. And then we tell our spouse or something, and then they're just like, well, why would you do that? And then we're like, oh, never mind. Yeah, they're right. They're right. And there's, for sure, it's, and I mean, it's like saying, hey, do you like my new haircut? Be careful who you ask, because
yes, absolutely.
If they didn't know why you cut your hair, like, then they,
for sure,
it's just amazing what people will volunteer that you didn't even ask for sometimes.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And so it is also learning how to ask for the kind of input you want to receive. And because we can't always control what people tell us anyway.
No, very
but
true.
We can learn how to be really clear. I talk about this a lot in networking too, of sometimes we get together to network and it's just very surfacey and this and that. And then we leave and we feel like, oh, I don't know if that really did anything for me. Was that like a waste?
Yeah.
And it's okay to like, be like, before you even set the appointment of, hey, I would love to get to know you better. And I also think there's some really cool opportunities for us to collaborate because of the work I do and the work you do. Are you open to get together for 30 minutes so I can learn like 3 things about what you're working on right now? You can learn about me, and we can explore this idea I have for possible collaboration if it feels good for you. That's such a different thing of we should just get together and have lunch. And sometimes that's okay too. And that can absolutely
for sure.
be, I do that too sometimes if it is more of like just a nurturing a relationship, somebody who's already in my community that I just want to get to know better. But you can also have these really amazing like 30-minute opportunities when you're just really clear from the beginning of the process of what is it that you actually want to get out of this interaction. And it's okay to be clear about that. And if somebody doesn't like that, then they might not be the right person for you to be spending 30 minutes.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. How do you think the traditional narrative of motherhood is failing women and what needs to change?
Oh God, how long do we have? I mean, it's tricky because I think so much of it has to do with what was modeled for us as kids. So my experience was my mom was a stay-at-home mom for the first couple of years. She went back to work part-time when I was in third grade. She was still very there for us. I don't even know how she did it all. I really don't, because my brother had some pretty severe health issues. I had some too. So we had to find specialists that were like an hour and a half away from our house. And we went 3 times a week, and she was working and we were in school, and it was next level. And then she always wanted to go back and she did secretarial college in the early 70s, late 60s. And so she wanted to go back. So she went back to undergrad full time while still working. Then she did grad school while still working because they paid for her to do grad school. She is a professional licensed counselor, started a private practice, but had to do an internship year. And so like she was in grad school when I was in undergrad, and we would have these 2 a.m. AOL instant messenger conversations. What are you doing? What are you doing? So and then my dad had a couple different business ventures. He was also in broadcast news for a long time. So I was like an actor. I had the kind of that to look at. I'm fortunate that they were very supportive of me as a kind of follow my dream off the beaten path. There are times where and maybe still there are times where they're like, I can always tell when they're like, they don't say it as much anymore, but I always know when there's like a thought bubble. But so that was my experience as like a kid. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. And then I also saw the other side of that where she never slept. I don't function. Maybe she functions okay without sleep. I don't. So I don't get enough sleep. I feel it. I get sick. My brain does not work. I also have ADHD. So like sleep is something that like I have to make a priority. I do not get 10 hours of sleep a night, but if I don't get at least 7, I will suffer. My work will suffer. My parenting will suffer. So she was somebody that seemingly has been able to do it. She's making up for it now with sleep. She's retired. But my experience with motherhood was like, hey, you can not have it all, because it was like she wasn't getting sleep. You know what I mean? So she wasn't having it all. She didn't do a ton of international travel until now. They're doing that now in their 70s, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
But I had a mom who was able to like still be at every single freaking musical that I performed in high school and help with costumes while working, while in school. I don't know. And I'm like, and that's something where I'm like, I do a lot, but then there's still, I don't know. I think she even went above and beyond. And I'm like, I'm starting to let go of some stuff because I am doing too much and I don't want to be doing everything I'm doing. So I had that experience. So I think so much of like how we're the question of like, how are we failing moms, or I can't remember the original question.
How is the traditional narrative of motherhood?
So I don't know that I have a traditional narrative of motherhood, but I do think it's a little bit of this, like everything we've talked about, of that it's, if we ask for help, we're weak. If we're supposed to just be grateful and smile and get through it. And because if we say this is really hard, or this is harder than I thought, or I'm struggling, that then strangers on the internet will be like, this is what you wanted. This is what you signed up for.
Keyboard warriors.
But we don't talk about it. Yeah. So I think it being in the US, our systems are hugely failing families because we don't have any kind of federally mandated paid maternity. We have one of the highest rates of maternal mortality amongst developed nations. So from I don't want to say political, but I want to say just like human rights situation.
Yeah.
We are failing moms in so many ways. That's a whole other conversation. But I think going back to that, like we can have it all. Again, I think there are times where we are and there are times where we're not, and we have to be okay with that. And I think the biggest area where I'm really push the boundary and encourage people in my community is to take up space, to say what is on their mind, to not be afraid to take a stand, and really create a personal brand, because like we need that. So many men have no problem taking up space. I mean, I lived in New York City years, and you would get on a subway and all the women would be like, and the men would be all like spread out on the subway, legs. I mean, just like a physical representation of no problem taking up the space, where the women were like, let's sit three of us in a spot that's like one, trying to like fit and make room for others. And that's not like a men are terrible or any of that either. Like there are many men who are wonderful, many men who are terrible. There are many women who are terrible, whatever. It's not this generalization. But I think because business world is dominated by these men who have no qualms making billions of dollars and doing whatever they want to do, we need more if we want to continue to change the narrative, if we want to continue to make more money, which gives us more power. It just does in this capitalist society we live in. We have to start by making some waves. This does. Sure. If we continue to play small and play it safe, we're not going to achieve the goals we want. And we're also internally, we're going to feel that too. And that's where I was a year ago. I was like, God, I'm playing so small. I can feel it. I feel gross. I feel disgusting. And I want to create my own stage. I have a lot to say. I have a lot of opinions. Do I express all of them all the time? No, I don't. But I also am like, you get one life. And I know that like, moms' voices are so powerful, but we have been conditioned to, again, just tamp them down. So if people can start with one place, it's like figuring out like, what is it that you want to say? And then finding a quote unquote stage that you want to say it on. It could be on podcasts. It could be social media. It could be public speaking. It could be a small group. There's so many ways to do it. It doesn't always have to be the loudest person on the most platforms wins, or the people with 1 million followers. It's not that either. And I think that's what we've been these last 10 years. It's just been all about followers and going viral. And that's not it either. No. It's not about the volume. It's about speaking safe.
It's about the message.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Many women struggle with the idea of charging what they're worth. How do we shift that conversation around mothers making serious money in business, do you think?
Yeah. I think everybody should be reading. I literally have it. And we're doing a book club in my digital community right now. Rachel Rogers, We Should All Be Millionaires. Go get the book, listen to the book. If you're a woman, if you're a mom, it's a great book. And I think it starts with doing some education. I mean, the fact is like women could not open credit cards without a man signing off on it. That's like recent history. That's recent history, which is shocking. I mean, even for me who knew that, you still read that and you're just like, what the fuck? Holy shit. Oh my God. I mean, it's truly wild. So so there's a lot of good stuff in that book that I just go read it because she does it so much better than me. She is truly.
We Should All Be Millionaires.
All Be Millionaires. And she has a new one coming out, I think this month or maybe next month. Yeah. She's brilliant at what she does. But then it's also being in communities that encourage it. Because if you're only with people who are like content where they are, they don't have a lot of ambition, which is also that's not a judgment on them either. It's okay. No, some people are like, you know what? I've got a job I love. It pays me enough. I get to have my paid vacation. Like you said, entrepreneurialism is not for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But if you know that you are struggling with pricing and charging your worth, like a lot of how my situation shifted with Renegade was because I was having these conversations with people who were saying, you really could be charging for this, Jen. You know what I mean? And so you got to put yourself with the people who are also trying to do the work. Maybe they're still in the process. Like I still struggle with it too. And I'm upfront about that. But it's if we can all process it together and have the conversations together and hold each other accountable for it and create a space where talking about money and making more of it is okay.
Yes.
Then collectively the growth happens.
Again, speaking to the importance of community. It is so integral, especially as entrepreneurs, it's lonely solopreneurs. So you need to have communities that you can rely on.
Yeah.
What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after learning it?
Ooh. Okay. A story I tell a lot. I don't know if this is the most important thing, but it's one that sticks with me. It's one that sticks with me. All right, I tell this story a lot. I'll do the short version right now. When I was living in New York City, doing a lot of auditioning, there was a show that was auditioning. It was a musical. It was not really dance heavy, which was perfect for me. I'm not a strong dancer. And a friend of mine was directing it, who I had done some work with, but it was a regional theater. It was a good theater. And so I was excited about it. I was like, he knows what I can do. I'm going to do good. Despite all of this, I still went into this, I got to do it the way all the other people are doing it. So I went and I bought this really ugly dress that just looked like a dress that like would be really cute on somebody who was like with long blonde hair and curls and stuff like that. On me, nothing for me. But it was like what a soprano ingenue would wear. Put this dress on. I picked a song that was like, I don't even know. I'm not sure why. I don't remember the song. I blocked a lot of it out. And despite the fact that I was on a stage in front of a person I had done 3 shows with, I still tanked it because I put so much pressure on myself. And I was still like, he knows me. He knows what I can do. He'll call me back. A callback. You don't know what that is. It's when you have a second audition, basically, second interview. They call it a callback in theater and acting. And I didn't get one. And he called me and he said, I'm not calling you back. And I think I said, or can you tell me why? Even though like I was still disappointed. And he was like, can I give you some advice? And I said, yeah. And he goes, Jen, wear the damn jeans. He's like, you look great in a pair of jeans and heels. Stop trying to be. And he wasn't like a guy being gross about my appearance or anything like that. He was just like, he knew me. He saw he saw me in like many different roles too. There was a lot of different things I could do. But he was like, you are trying so hard to do what everyone else is doing. You are completely missing what makes you special. So I talk about this a lot. I know people in my community will come up or they'll like do like hashtag wear the damn jeans, or they'll do a little jean emoji. They'll say to me like, wear the damn jeans. And so for me, it's there are days where like I'm in jeans and like what I have on now, a blazer and a shirt, whatever. There are days where I'm in my yoga pants. There are days where there are events that I run that I like really want to, it makes me feel good to be in like a great dress, a great pair of heels. But I do it for me. I'm not doing it for other people. And I'm doing it from a place of what makes me and not trying to, again, we try so hard to think if we just do it somebody else's way, then eventually we'll get some piece of success by doing it the way everyone else is telling me, instead of to actually identify what makes you unique and special. And that might mean that you're not going to be for that role in a show. Yeah. You're not going to be for that client. But you also, I've had other businesses where I've had clients because I would take anybody with a pulse, and it was not fun. It was good money, but I was like, oh my God, when is this contract done? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that anymore because I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. That's cool.
And we need to know that. And not everyone is going to be our cup of tea. Right. It goes both ways, and we have to realize that. And the pray and spray method does not work. It's not good. It really isn't.
A lot of people
only hurts you.
Don't be political if you're a business owner and everything. And frankly, I'm at a place now with what's happening in my country where I'm like, I'm going to say how I feel about what's happening because it's very deeply personal to me. And so if that means that someone is not going to come to one of my events because of that, that's okay. It's really, it's okay. It's okay. And it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have to be okay with being who we authentically are and sharing our beliefs, sharing our thoughts, and having our voice heard. Yeah. We all have a voice and we all need to be heard. Not everyone is going to agree with you, and that's okay. Yeah. It's being comfortable with that and knowing that.
Yeah. Wear the damn jeans. Yeah.
There you go. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
Definitely community building. I also think I run a really good event. I really love putting on live events, bringing people together in spaces, creating like an ambiance and experience.
Yep.
And I'm learning how to do that effectively on Zoom networking events too, which has been really fun, which has been challenging.
Yeah.
Totally different experience, but it's been really fun. And then I think from like a coaching perspective, and it's hard, I'm actually having a hard time finding some of the words for this lately, just in like sales copy and stuff, but I am really good at connecting the dots. So when someone comes to me and says, I have these ideas and these ideas, I feel like I have a superpower of helping to connect some of the dots and extract stuff and then infuse it with their personality. So it's like, how can we take this, but make it really you, but also give it a point of view? how can we give it a point of view so that you stand out from the 18,000 other people who are talking about perimenopause right now?
Yeah.
Because there's really not a lot of new ideas anymore for really
No,
being
there's
honest.
not.
You know what I mean? Am I the first
But
person talking about being a mom in business? No, but
yeah,
there's a specific reason why it's called Renegade Motherhood and not the Mompreneur Show or whatever. And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that either, but
Nope.
it's more about me and my personality and my perspective on things. So yeah, so that's really the work I enjoy doing is and helping people like have a little more fun with their business too. I think we should so seriously. And then it's like, how can we, if you want to, and again, if you want to, and some people don't, they don't want to make it fun, but could we find some opportunities for a little bit of like levity? Because I think if you can make somebody laugh when they're like scrolling your sales page, I think that they have you. Like
for sure.
If somebody values humor and values lightness and that kind of thing. But I read so much sales copy and I look at so many websites and some of them I'm just like, oh my God. But if I get to one and I'm like, oh, that's funny, then that me, I'm like, this is somebody that I want to get to know and follow. Yeah. Because that's a higher value for me. So if somebody has that as a value and and I'm seeing like in person, you're like this and you're really funny and everything, but then I read your copy and I feel like you're writing it for like, you're not really
doesn't match.
Yeah. So like, how can we bring more of you into your business? Cause it's your business. It's an extension of you. It's a part of you. And people are going to get confused if they see your website and then they meet you and they're like, wait a minute, what? And that's part of my journey because that's what was happening with me. People were like, I don't really, this is like what you're doing because it doesn't really make sense. And now people are like, oh yeah, like this, yes, there you are.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Now, speaking of success, how do you define that word? What does success mean to you?
Right now, because I think my definition changes. Right now, I have a clear vision for what I'm building, and it feels really good following the steps to build that vision, knowing that the financial success and everything will come. That feels really good because I spent so many years in this sort of scarcity, self-doubt, or in businesses where I actually was making a lot of money, but it just felt like I'm not even really enjoying what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm grateful, super grateful for the money, 100%. I'm not diminishing that, but it wasn't what I was meant to be doing anymore.
Doesn't feed your soul.
So right now, that's what it is. I think it will always evolve, and I think I'm a good mom. I'm not a perfect mom. I'm not trying to be. I don't always practice the patience and all the stuff, but my kids want to hang out with me. I want to hang out with my kids. Like we have a good time together and yeah.
It's a work in progress always.
Yeah, always. Yeah,
for sure. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
To me, again, right now, it means feeling both lit up and emboldened to do the work. So I feel excited about the work I'm doing, but I also feel like now is the time to really fucking talk about this, like now more than ever. Yeah. And not editing myself, not feeling, oh, if I post this, what is somebody going to think about me? That ebbs and flows for sure.
Yep.
Because I do try to remain aware of all the other stuff that's going on and not be the person that's just like business as usual every single day. Yeah. But also know that I believe that, especially as we building this economy of moms in business, to me is like a personal act of resistance. So if I don't show up and keep doing the work, that doesn't grow. And that's really important to me right now and important for me as a mom of 2 girls. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3, 4-word answer type thing. Okay.
Okay.
How would you describe yourself in 1 word?
Bold. The first word that came to mind was smart ass. That's how my parents would probably describe me.
I thought you were going to say renegade.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah.
What is your favorite
answer. Use that one. Renegade.
What is your favorite self-care practice?
Honestly, watching a decadent, good episode of Grey's Anatomy in bed by myself.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
That there is so much power in your personal acts of rebellion and disruption.
What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
Oh, right now it's like a beautiful mid-century modern home because they aren't in they're in my neighborhood. No, one thing I want but can't buy with money, compassionate leadership.
I like that. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Being a really supportive, compassionate person who could also make you laugh.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
My sense of humor.
And that concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question for you that I did not send to you ahead of time. If you could take one feeling or one belief, bottle it up, and give it to people, what would it be?
One feeling or one belief and bottle it up and give to somebody. Sounds simple, but belief in yourself, in your ideas, and that they are valid and worthy.
Yeah, that's an important one for sure.
There's so many, but yeah, that was that came to mind.
If you could have any three people in the world, alive or dead, sitting at your dinner table with you for dinner, who would those three people be?
Oh gosh, also so many. Tori Amos, a big musical inspiration. Stephen Sondheim.
One more, Jen.
Because we talked about the book and because I am like very inspired by her, Rachel Rogers. I'll put that out there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Put that out to the universe.
Yeah.
There we go.
I just have a lot of respect for and I'm learning a lot from. So I'll put her out there. Yeah.
Okay. If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
Oh, man. How do you come up with all these questions?
But you're asking yourself, not me.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Touche. One question. Oh, God. These are, I'm impressed by your questions. They're good. And I even read through them all and gave them all some thought. And then it's like when you're in the moment, I think I would ask what the role of my husband in all of this. We didn't really talk about him that much.
Okay. So what's the role of your husband in all this?
He's like the unsung hero in a lot of ways. He gives me complete freedom. Like he doesn't ever question my instincts. He leaves me alone in my business, which is important to me, actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's challenging and there are things that we definitely, but it's been cool. He's much more like employee mindset, but lately he's been talking a lot more about wanting to start a business or buy a business. And that's been really like, I'm really like proud of you for exploring some other opportunities and stuff like that. And because I have been working a lot on asking for what I need and receiving, there are weeks where it's also, I'm not good at it. We together are not great, but he really understands that I am somebody, he's much more of a homebody and happy to be, but he really understands that I need to be out with people. And so he's really incredibly supportive with that. And
which
awesome
is so important.
Yeah. And so I'm grateful. And again, we have our challenges and
of course,
I'm not gonna, again, I see so much like social media influencers out there. Oh, we have a business together in this. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm seeing divorce in your future. I don't know that.
I'm calling bullshit.
But he's happy to be backstage. And I think business owners, someone who's like a visionary who wants to really build like, again, the 7-figure brand, right? Going back to, again, what are your goals? Like that I have a big goal. We need a wing person. We need someone who's like a stage manager. We need someone who is like more on the operations side. You need different people. If you're lucky enough to be in a romantic relationship with one of those people, like all the better. But it also starts with, again, communicating that vision and then
for sure.
And being open to receive the support and knowing, and here's the last thing I'll say. Sometimes the support you receive is not always how you need it to be, but that's okay too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not always exactly, but I really needed this, but it's a two-way street. And I can't control every single moment, even though I want to.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of it is just releasing in that control, because then support can actually come in many different and interesting ways that you weren't even expecting. Yeah, if we can let go of some of that needing to control, every single outcome. Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Someone living or dead, or doesn't matter?
Either or, doesn't matter.
Okay. I think I'm first that came to my mind, and this is what came to my mind last night too. I said like people at the dinner table, so I'll pick somebody new, because Michelle Obama, I know it might sound trite, but just someone who has broken a lot of boundaries and barriers and is very inspiring and thoughtful and like a very strong leader but again, not always the loudest. And I respect that immensely, because I sometimes feel if I just yell louder, and it's not always that. So that's someone that comes to mind. Yeah. Again, there's a list of 100, I'm sure, but yeah.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Wear the damn jeans. Earlier.
It's simple.
But earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent so much time in my youth and early 20s and stuff, just again, like trying to be liked and fit in, and
which we all do. We all go through that, right? For sure.
And really trying to be aware of that with my girls too.
Yeah.
Like,
so wear the damn jeans, people. Listen to Jen. Wear the damn jeans.
Yeah.
Or the dress, whatever fits for you.
Again, it's a metaphor.
But for Jen, it's wear the damn jeans.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like, be who you were.
Be true to yourself.
You know, that's going to evolve too. Like, it's going to evolve.
Yeah, for sure.
And not be afraid to know when it's time to maybe close a chapter, because it's time for a new one as well.
Yeah.
Not let fear hold you back from making change as necessary.
Yeah. Lastly, Jen, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
Now is the time for moms to birth their ideas, get them out into the world, make some noise, raise their voices, and build their communities, because there is so much magic that happens when moms mobilize and create some fucking mischief. And we can use our businesses as ways to do that. And again, fight the good fight, make the money, and then raise your renegades alongside you.
Beautiful. Jen, thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today, for sharing your story, your journey, and of course, the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do, helping mothers step into their authenticity and their potential. It's been such an amazingly beautiful and powerful and inspirational conversation. I am grateful to have you now as a member of the Empowerography community and to be able to call you a friend. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I just want to reflect back, like, really good questions. And
Thank you.
I mean, I've done a lot of podcast interviews lately, and just really got me thinking too. This gave me some ideas. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I receive that. I appreciate that. Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Jen Morris. She is the founder of Renegade Motherhood, which is a company committed to elevating, amplifying, and connecting moms in business. She's a natural storyteller, speaker, a network connector of moms, a philanthropist, and of course, last but certainly not least, a mother. Thank you so much, Jen. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca, and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.